Hello there, welcome to my review of the Rockford Files Season 2, Episode 18, In Hazard, written by Juanita Bartlett and directed by Jackie Cooper. The episode begins with Beth having a meeting with a client, Arnold Bailey. He's being charged with tax fraud and probably did it.
You think I'm guilty?
He gets a phone call from a Fred Metcalf who demands to meet with him. They meet and Metcalf says Bailey's life is in danger, as whatever scam they've been running besides the tax fraud has been picked up by a mobster named Marty Jordan.
Means I think Jordan found out he don't like being ripped off. Anyone tries, he does something permanent.
Bailey leaves, unconcerned, and Metcalf gets picked up by two goons. This is a classic mystery opening, telling us Beth is going to be in trouble because of Bailey, but we don't know what kind of trouble he's in or that she will be. We then cut to Jim fishing as Rocky makes a welcome return, wanting to start his own private trucking business.
How many people are in the market for a 40-foot semi?
It's a good investment.
Before Jim can do much else, he gets a call from Beth from jail, and it's time for a little role reversal. With Beth in jail for 3 days for contempt, she needs Jim to get her file on Bailey from her office as he's meeting her at the jail to go over the case. Meanwhile, Metcalf has been tortured by Jordan's goons, and they too arrive at Beth's office in time to rough up Jim and take the file, as well as the rest of the contents of the safe. Jim reports the assault to Dennis, who isn't much help, so he plans to investigate himself.
You don't work on open cases. You can't go around changing the rules just to please yourself.
Oh, yes, I can.
He and Dennis head to the jail, where they're informed that
She was transferred to the prison ward in County General.
What's she doing in the hospital?
She was poisoned.
they visit her with Rocky, who waits in the hall, sitting next to Bailey. Jim is convinced that Bailey is responsible for the attempt on Beth's life, not realising he's right outside. Rocky introduces him, and Jim sizes him up before leaving. What started as a classic mystery that roped Jim in by making it personal has now taken a turn for the deadly with the attempt on Beth's life. And from what we've seen, Jim may well be right that it was Bailey. But we know it could also be Jordan, which he doesn't. This intrigue is increased when Beth gives Jim a list of her clients, and one of them turns out to be Metcalf.
Fred Metcalf letter. What kind of letter?
I don't know.
He gave her a letter 5 years earlier, which Jim finds suspicious. But she's oblivious to Metcalf and Bailey's relationship.
Who is Metcalf, anyway?
He's the vice president of the American Brotherhood of Affiliated Machine and Textile Workers.
I'm of the opinion that this particular clue is a little thin, as is Jim's leap to connect it with Bailey. But it is out of the ordinary enough for him to at least look into this Metcalf letter, so I'm not too concerned by the leap. Jim finds Metcalf dead in his car, and this goes from being a weak clue to a strong lead. Metcalf was a bigwig in a union, so Jim suspects he was skimming and put the details of his conspirators in the letter he gave Beth as insurance. Having been tortured, he gave up the whereabouts of his insurance, and it's likely that they've assumed Beth has also read the letter. Jim gives Beth a ride from the hospital, and they're pursued by Jordan's goons, with Jim using his smarts to get the goons arrested. Jim drops Beth off at Rocky's and has found out Bailey has disappeared and that he was Metcalf's stockbroker.
So what does that prove?
Well, for one thing, it proves they knew each other.
Jim finds out where he's hiding, which Jordan has already discovered. Bailey tries to run from Rockford, but Jim corners him and gets him to confess that he and Metcalf were partners in the scam to rip off the union, and Jordan got wise and killed Metcalf.
I can't swim.
Unfortunately, Jordan and a goon arrive, but Jim's quick thinking turns the table on them, and Bailey agrees to give evidence against Jordan. After the initial mysterious opening and the raised stakes of the attempt on Beth's life, the episode somewhat devolves into a pretty straightforward case of tracking down the suspect and getting to the truth. In some ways, the earlier promise of this being a high-stakes case gives way to a fairly mediocre resolution. And as nice as it is to see Jim's care for Beth at the forefront, the ending just isn't as entertaining as the start. It's half a great episode, half an okay episode. One that is surprisingly forgettable considering the personal stakes involved. For me, this was an entertaining distraction, but not a patch on what we've previously seen, so it's a 3 out of 5 for me. Thank you. Goodbye.